On the 12th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a partridge in a pear tree. I just wanted to start off with something funny because I got the Christmas tree in back. So, once again, welcome to this Christmas edition of Catholic Positive Energy. Like I said, during this whole entire Christmas season, the Christmas tree is going to be in the background, and I'll bring back the Chinese waterfall after the Christmas season. So, this week's broadcast is called Developing New Hobbies. Now, I just recently turned 36, and I'll admit, I'm not really old, but I guess, I don't know, maybe I'd be considered middle-aged, maybe? Yeah, I know, so some of my older viewers will probably be like, oh man, you ain't got nothing on me, kid. Anyways, but I know I'm not a really young person, but I have learned the importance of developing new hobbies even as you get older. Now, when you were younger, when you were a kid, maybe you were interested in sports, music, movies, martial arts, or you know, and as you grew up and got older, you changed. Like maybe, you know, you used to play with toys, but now you don't anymore. Or maybe you used to collect things, now you don't anymore. But it's always important to have hobbies. And even as I get older, I continue to develop new ones. Now, when I was a little younger, after I first turned 21, even though I was old enough to gamble, I didn't really do it much because I come from a poor family. I don't have a whole lot of money. I'm doing better now, but it could still be way better. You know, it'd be nice if I had a Corvette. That's my favorite car. Hopefully one day I'll have one. Or a Lamborghini. I'm kidding. Even if I never have a Lamborghini, I'll still be happy. You know, what's most important is that you have the Lord Jesus Christ in your life. And that is more important than any material possession. Amen? But like I say, I find myself once in a while developing new hobbies that I didn't have when I was younger, or things I never thought I would ever have at all. Like, now I have, and like I say, it's a hobby. I like playing blackjack. When I go to a casino, I used to just stick to the slot machines because my mom, she usually has the best luck gambling on slot machines. So I was hoping that I would have the same. And I didn't, not nearly as much. I'll never forget this one time back in 2015. I was at the California-Nevada state line at the casino, Whiskey Pete's, and I was playing a penny machine, and I was betting the maximum bet. It was $2.50, and I was at that machine not even 5 minutes, and I won, about $500, and I had never experienced anything like that before. And at first I couldn't believe it because the whole screen had buffaloes. It was a Buffalo Gold machine. Some of you might know what I'm talking about. I'm not an obsessive gambler. It's just a hobby whenever, once in a while. But I was at a casino recently, and I was playing blackjack, and I was doing really well. I don't know if you know what free bet blackjack is. For those of you who are familiar with the game, you'll know what I'm talking about, but I'll just talk about it a little bit. You can double down or double your bet, and it won't cost you any extra money. Even if you lose, you lose your original bet. But if you win, then you win more money. So you basically, in a sense, don't have very much to lose. And I was all by myself at this table last night, and I just kept winning like crazy. And I got to tell you, it's a really fun experience. I was in Las Vegas last month, and I was playing blackjack, and I had just as much fun because, I was winning. Yeah, if I'm losing, I'm not having fun. If I'm winning, I'm having fun. So I was having such a great time, and even if I am playing with other players, it's nice to have a little chit chat, some positive talk while you're there at the table. I usually tend to be kind of entertaining for the other players. I remember I would, and I came up with this all by myself. Relief, not regret. Like when you make a bet and you feel like, I don't know if I should do this, if I should take another card, if I should hit, or if I should stay, because I don't want to regret this later. Nobody likes having regrets. I'd rather have relief, not regret. So, yeah, like I say, it's become a hobby of mine, playing blackjack. I'm not going to be an obsessive gambler, but yeah, it's a hobby. It's a hobby. And it's one I never thought I would have because, obviously, for those of us who try to be very, like I said, I got to be careful. I don't want anyone to think I'm putting people down. For those of us who try to be smart and responsible with our money and careful and cautious, I'm not putting people down, okay? Please don't accuse me of that. For those of us who like to be those things, we try not to gamble much, or we're afraid that we might lose or become addicted or develop some bad habits. But obviously, for those of you who do like to gamble, as long as you don't, gamble away all your income, which is something none of us want to do, then it's totally fine. Like I say, gambling can be a wonderful hobby. And like I say, it's a hobby, and I really enjoy it, the playing blackjack. Another hobby that I guess I'm starting to develop now that I'm a little older, pardon me, see, when I was younger, I never wanted to watch movies unless I knew I was going to like it and I felt like it was really, really entertaining. I didn't really like watching dramas because I figured I wouldn't like it, I mean, it's not always as exciting as action or as entertaining and funny as a comedy. But for the most part, I never liked drama. Now that I'm a little older, what I'm starting to do now is I'm being more open-minded, a lot more open-minded than when I was younger. So now I'm starting to watch movies that I've never seen before, even though they may not be an action or a comedy or something really exciting. I like to at least watch it once to see if I like it. And that way, because I've noticed there are a lot of people who I meet who I tend to have conversations with. And when I was younger, this is how the conversation always went for me. The person I was talking to would ask me, hey, have you ever seen this movie? And 9 times out of 10, my answer would be no. And the person talking to me would often say, you've never seen this movie, man? Where have you been? What's the matter with you? Have you been living under a rock? Or you've been, you got to get out and do things. And I never really listened to those comments before. I always thought, whatever. But it's made me realize now that I'm older that I wasn't enjoying life to the fullest. So now what I'm starting to do is I'm starting to watch certain movies that I thought were boring when I was younger, but I'm watching them now. And I'll just see it at least once. So that way, I saw the movie at least once. If I liked it, great. Maybe I'll watch it again. If I didn't like it, then I'll never watch it again. But if somebody ever asks me about, have you ever seen this movie? I can say yes. Because I was being open-minded. Something I was not when I was younger. So some movies that I have watched so far, at least this year, ones that I've had the time to watch, ones that I never wanted to watch when I was younger. I saw Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. That came out in 1969. And normally I am not a fan of Westerns, but I'm more open-minded now. I will admit, actually, I did like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I like it. I mean, I wish the ending could have been a little bit different, but it is what it is. And, when I was younger, I definitely would not have liked Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. But now that I'm older and I'm much more open-minded and positive and tend to get out of my comfort zone, I'm willing to do things I've never done. So at least I did it, and if somebody ever asks me, I can tell them that I saw it. And you don't have to like a movie to contribute to a conversation. At least you saw the movie, and at least you can tell some new friends who you meet for the first time that you saw the movie. And if you at least saw it, that actually reflects somewhat good on your image, because at least you saw the movie. Now, if you tell people all the time, no, I never saw this movie or I never saw that movie, people will eventually think that you've been living under a rock, that you're not really living your life to the fullest. So I never realized that or understood that when I was younger, but I'm doing it now. And I also, on Christmas Day, I watched the original Miracle on 34th Street, the one from 1947. I didn't even realize that, I'd heard of that movie. I thought the one that came out in, I believe it was 94, I thought that was the original. I did not realize that that was a reboot. But yeah, the one from 1947 is the original. I watched that and I liked it. I will admit that back in the 40s, the world, this country was definitely a very different place. But, you would expect that 75 years ago. I'm sure 75 years from now, the world will be a very, very different place than it is now. Some things that we probably would never imagine today. So, I do have a lot of older friends, and I've had some of my friends recommend movies that I need to watch, before I die. And some of the movies that I often hear on like must-see movies you need to watch before you die, I often hear things like Casablanca. I will watch that eventually, as well as The Sound of Music. Now I'm sure we have people here who have seen that before. I always avoided it because, normally, here, I'll use this kind of terminology. Some of you know I'm a very big fan of the sitcom Home Improvement. I love Tim Allen. He's my favorite comedian. And I'm going to use a joke that he made, a reference to that movie, The Sound of Music. I remember in one of these episodes in the first season when his wife wanted to watch The Sound of Music as a family thing for family night. Tim Allen and his three sons, when they heard the word Sound of Music, they just looked at each other and went, ah! And yeah, because they didn't want to watch that. They figured it would be boring, or there wouldn't be as much fun, or not something that most guys would want to watch. But I'm willing to watch it at least once. I am kind of familiar with what that movie's about. My uncle highly recommended Casablanca. He said that it's a good movie. I can't remember exactly why he said that, but I'll watch that too. Obviously, most movies that people need to watch are ones that are classic, that have been around for a while, for a few generations, and that's why people normally recommend them to younger generations. And yeah, I'll admit, there are a lot of classic movies that are really, really good, regardless of how the world is changing around us. So it's very good to be open-minded and develop these new hobbies. I've noticed a lot. If you're somebody who just stays in a comfort zone for a lot of years, and I think I touched on this in a previous video I did, the healing process, I talked about living your life. Now, part of what I touched on there, I'll talk about right now. Don't stay in a comfort zone. Now, when I was younger, this is what I would always do. I would always follow a routine because I wanted to feel comfortable, because I didn't always feel comfortable. I would basically do the same thing on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I remember on Fridays I would go to like a family fun center and play in the arcade and come home before a certain time and I would watch some of my favorite TV shows, and Saturday I would go to a farmer's market and then go to the mall, and Sunday I would, do a similar thing. I always did that on the same time on each of those days. I was homeschooled during that time. This was years ago. But yeah, I always followed a routine because that's just what made me happy. I didn't want to be open-minded and do other things. And now that I'm older, I kind of regret that, but I'm not going to live in a world of regret. I want to live in a world of positive energy and happiness. So, like I might have said this in a previous video, I am making a very strong effort to do things I've never done before. Like my family and I had been going on vacation to Las Vegas since I was 3. So, and we would often do the same things and visit the same places. So the last time I was there, I made an effort to, I went to the top of the Stratosphere Tower. Now it's called the Strat. That's 108 stories. You've heard me talk about that. I had never gone up there before, and it was a nice experience. And I think I also, what else did I do? I think I also visited some other places I had never been. And, well, like I said, I stuck to just playing blackjack, but it was nice to, go somewhere I had never been before. Usually it's everybody's fantasy to, see the world, travel, which is something I would love to do myself. Explore new places, experience new things. Maybe if you'd never been fishing, go fishing. If you'd never been skydiving, if you're brave enough, go skydiving. If you want to do rock climbing, do that. Or if you had never been scuba diving, go scuba diving. It's always important to experience new things, because if you're someone who just lives in a comfort zone your whole life, well, then you're not really living your life to the fullest. It's nice to at least experience things once. Let's say you do something you'd never done before, like skydiving or water skiing, and maybe you didn't really like it or you didn't have a pleasant experience. Okay, if you decide that you never want to do it again, well, at least you did it once. You tried it once. You did it. It's done. Okay, at least you did it. But to never do something because you're afraid or because you thought you would never like it, there's a lot of negative mindset when people think that way. Well, I don't want to do this because I don't think I'm going to like it. I don't want to try this kind of food because I don't think I'm going to like it. Well, you might decide differently. Several months ago, I think this was in September, I posted my video of cooking haggis. Now, I'm not Scottish, but I have met a lot of people who have said to me recently when they hear me say haggis, "Oh, you ate that? Oh, geez." I thought it was delicious, and I still think that. I'm not even Scottish. I like haggis. It's food. It's tasty. Yeah, I mean, like I say, for the people, and most of these people who I shared this story with were people who are like much older than me, people old enough to be my parents. They had never tried haggis, but I feel, well, I mean, be open-minded and at least try it once. And if you didn't like it, then don't do it again. But it's nice to have at least tried it once than to have never tried at all. And like I say, I mean, part of being open-minded is also another aspect of positive energy, because if you're somebody who's very closed-minded, that has a lot to do with negative thoughts. Negative thoughts also relate to negative energy. Now, we don't like negative energy here. Amen? We don't like negative energy. So these are some of the important reasons why developing new hobbies is a wonderful thing. Let's say you didn't play a musical instrument when you were younger. I know I didn't. And I just cared about watching TV, playing video games, watching Nickelodeon, Looney Tunes. Oh, those were the days. And I just didn't feel like doing that. I kind of regret it now, but I will admit, now that I'm older, I probably wouldn't mind having like piano lessons, or maybe, and like I said, these are things that I was not interested at all when I was younger. I probably wouldn't mind maybe learning the xylophone. Yeah, if my younger self as a kid, heard my older self now saying this when I was younger, I probably would have, as a kid, I probably would have been like, oh, geez, am I really saying that years from now? Silly thing. But anyways, I certainly have changed a lot since I was a kid, and I'm very glad that I have and that I am. And like I say, being open-minded also has a lot to do with positive energy. Being closed-minded, yeah, that's negative energy right there in a nutshell. So these are important reasons why I feel that developing new hobbies, no matter how old you may get, or how you may change, or how your personality changes, or whatever is happening in your life or around you, developing new hobbies is a great thing. And in my opinion, I don't think there is any such thing as a boring hobby. I've noticed a lot of people will look at other people, and when somebody says, oh yeah, I like to collect stamps, some people might think, that's kind of boring. I don't know if that's a hobby. That's not boring, okay? I mean, I don't collect stamps, but my mom has a stamp collection. I don't think that's boring. Please, never look at somebody and say, well, that's not really a hobby. That sounds boring. Don't do that. There's no such thing as a boring hobby. Whether you're collecting stamps or bottles or cans or records or cassettes or, musical instruments, magic tricks, whatever it is, there is no such thing as a boring hobby. If you're someone who really takes a lot of pleasure in praying and meditating and sitting in silence, that's a hobby. Yeah, that's a hobby. I will admit, not too many people will look at those things as wonderful hobbies and, things that sound fun and exciting. But those are hobbies, and I certainly am not going to judge anybody and say that's boring. Some people may like gambling, playing sports, watching movies, TV, doing things on a computer or on an iPad, or maybe fixing things. Or even looking at the sky and, maybe using a telescope at night, or, what other fun gadgets they may be inventing. But there's no such thing as a boring hobby. If you're someone who loves to sit in silence and solitude, yeah, I'd say that's a hobby. I mean, now, like I said, there's no such thing as a boring hobby, but there is such a thing as this. Now, let's say you have something that you really like to do, and you are around people at a party or at a gathering or at a mixer, and people ask you, well, what kind of things do you like to do in your spare time? What do you find to be fun? Now, if you say to people, I love to sit in silence and solitude and, look at the sky, people around you may not think that those things are fun and exciting. They may not want to do those things themselves, but, just realize, if you have a hobby that's very rare and something that may not be very popular among the majority of people, just don't be surprised if people look at you and they kind of go, because they might think, I'm not so sure I would ever have fun doing that, but this person likes to do it, and they just told me that they like doing this, and this is something I never hear people say. People tend to, like I say, that's what happens when you do things like that. I'm sure there's been a time when maybe you were at a party or at a social gathering and you were talking to someone who you thought was really, really nice and really cool, and you were trying to get to know them, and you asked them a question about themselves, and they answered, and when they answered you, it kind of was like, that's kind of weird, you know? Everybody feels that way from time to time. But yeah, there have actually been a lot of times I've made people feel that way, and I didn't even know that I was going to do that or that they would feel that way. I never did it on purpose, but okay. I'm glad that I'm aware now. But yes, developing new hobbies is a wonderful, wonderful thing. When I was younger, I didn't even like reading books. Now I read books all the time now because I'm in grad school. You read books constantly. And, I definitely love reading books on the Catholic faith, anything related to the Catholic faith, maybe a little philosophy, sometimes, history, and sometimes I might read a book about, investing or, how to better your financial life, Definitely a hobby. So, like I say, developing new hobbies, I see as this is another very good positive tool that can be of use in your life. I mean, just this past year, this whole year in 2022, I have gotten involved with some things that I had not been involved in for several years. Like I was in a bowling league this past summer, and I was in a bowling league when I was a kid, but, as I got older, I eventually started working, or I went to college, or, things happened, and eventually, I just got reconnected with some things that I used to do when I was younger, and I'm glad that I have. I still have a love for it and a passion for it. I love bowling. And like I say, now that I'm older, playing blackjack, I think it's fun. For those of you who may not think it's fun, or maybe you want tips or things like that about how to be a smarter gambler, let me know. And I'm only going to do this if you want me to, but, maybe I'll probably do a future broadcast about that. I want to think of new things to talk about in future broadcasts, because I know I've talked about some wonderful things, and I'm very glad that I have your support. It's just sometimes I feel like I probably tend to go on and on and on, and for all I know, and I know every single broadcast that I have has a different title, but I'm sure that I've probably talked about the same thing twice in two different ways. But like I say, I mean, I'm not going to remember off the top of my head the name of every single broadcast I've ever done. This one today, this is, I believe, broadcast number 132, I believe. So I remember how many I've done. I just don't remember the names of every single one. So I hope this broadcast has really helped broaden your thoughts in a lot of positive ways. Now, one thing I will do for sure, and I mentioned this on the Christmas broadcast that I did on Christmas Day, I'm going to have another broadcast this week on New Year's Eve, so right before midnight. I'll try to make an effort to come on at 11:50 p.m. Pacific time. I live in California, so 11:50 p.m. I'm going to come on live, and I'll be right here, and I'll talk about some things, and I'll be looking at my watch, and we're going to do the New Year countdown. So I'll count down from once it's 11:59 p.m. Pacific time, and 50 seconds, I'm going to count down 10, 9, 8, and as the new year starts, we can all be happy together. Now, because I'm in my house, I don't like to clean up a whole lot of messes, so I'm not going to throw confetti in the air or anything, but all of you watching are free to throw whatever you want into the air while you're watching me, and I'm just glad I don't have to clean that up. But like I say, we're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to reflect on 2022. I don't think it'll take me more than 10 minutes to talk about 2022. So Please also feel free to let me know what wonderful things you've experienced this year, and hopefully your goals for next year, for 2023. I know that coming up I believe it's in April, will be the 3-year anniversary that I started Catholic Positive Energy. Now, I remember when I started Catholic Positive Energy, I'll share it real quick. I remember it was in January of 2020, almost 3 years ago now. And at first, I thought about just starting like a Facebook page, but I wasn't sure if this is something I wanted to do. So, okay, now, I have insomnia, so I have to take pills to sleep. Otherwise, I don't sleep at all. And I remember I took some, and I never do this. I've told this story before. I was in my room, just right back there, and I had my phone right here in my hand. And I was half asleep. I thought I was dreaming. I seriously thought I was dreaming. So I guess I was half asleep, half awake. And I ended up starting Catholic Positive Energy on my phone, the Facebook page. So I remember when I did that, I thought I was dreaming that whole thing. And like I said, I woke up with the phone in my hand, and then I woke up a few hours later, and I was like, huh? What? And my phone, normally I either turn it off while I'm asleep or it's plugged in. It was like right in front of me. I was like, hey, why did I fall asleep with my phone over here? What happened? And then I looked at my phone and I looked on Facebook and I was like, oh, wow, I actually started Catholic Positive Energy. I thought I dreamed that whole thing. I seriously thought I did. I swear it felt like a dream. It didn't feel like I really did it. So I left it there and I just went forward. And, because I was much more wide awake and alert when I found out that I'd done that, I kept that. I kept it. And I'm glad that I started Catholic Positive Energy the way I did, because I wasn't even sure if I wanted to do that at all, or if it would even be successful, or if people would even care to follow me and support me and consistently be here. And I'm very, very happy and thankful and blessed that all of you are here. So I will be here once again on New Year's Eve. So like I say, Pacific time, 11:50 p.m. If you're on the East Coast, then that would be 2:50 a.m. your time, because of the time difference. If you're in other countries, I wouldn't be able to tell you every single time zone difference off the top of my head, because this will be a longer broadcast. But I won't do that. So Pacific time, 11:50 p.m. I will be right here, and this will be our New Year's Eve broadcast leading into the new year. So, like I say, one thing I'm going to make an effort to do is to broadcast on important holidays and even important feast days on the Catholic calendar. Like I say, this is a Catholic community, so I'll make an effort to broadcast on important feast days of some of my favorite saints. Obviously, I can't do it every single day of the year, but regarding the saints who I'm very familiar with, I will make an effort to broadcast on those days. And those broadcasts may not be very long, but I'll be here. So I'll see you all on New Year's Eve. Continue to develop new hobbies. Take care. God bless. And please remember, dignification is better than criticism.